Okay, we're back on the record, and I understand the Commonwealth's going to do a closing statement.
Thank you, Mr. Detrue. In lieu of a closing argument, I've been asked to read a letter from the governor. Dear Messrs. Detrue, Welby, and D'Angelo, I had hoped to address the panel personally, but unfortunately, I was unable to harmonize my schedule with Commonwealth's hearing dates. I appreciate the panel allowing me to provide these written comments for your review and consideration. As you may know, my background is in law enforcement. As a former law enforcement professional, I am keenly aware of and appreciate all phases of our system and the persons who dedicate their careers to it. From arrest to trial to confinement to parole and probation, our system is the sum of its parts and is only as strong as the professionals who serve it. Their commitment is not lost on me. When I took the oath of office in January, I inherited a fiscal nightmare. Our budget was in shambles. No preparation had been made for the loss of billions of federal stimulus monies. All state rainy day funds had been exhausted. Expenses were expected to exceed revenues by more than $4 billion. Stated simply, we were worse than broke. As my Executive Deputy Secretary of the Office of Budget, Pete Tartline, testified before you, I had no alternative but to cut spending. My senior staff and I went through an arduous process of going through the budget line by line, making many difficult decisions. We identified reductions where restraint was the better course of fiscal responsibility. Among our many difficult choices, we decided to not include any money to increase wages at any agency in the executive branch. This is the responsible course, and it is why I also have called on all public employees, not only those who serve within the executive branch, to freeze their wages. It also should be noted that the Commonwealth, along with the rest of the nation, faced the worst recession in recent history, while the Commonwealth's unionized employees were the beneficiaries of generous raises. In the last 3 years alone, this bargaining unit has received 10% in salary raises, while the Commonwealth's managers have received nothing. And also while the private sector workers experience significant job losses, wage cuts, increased health care contributions, and numerous other cost containment measures. In order to control spending, there are some who have urged me to seek legislation to impose terms and conditions upon our union employees. However, while the collective bargaining process should proceed, it must be responsive to the overarching fiscal crisis with which we are confronted. In the same regard, there are some who have urged me to privatize some of our prisons to reduce costs. I have refused. I have openly advocated for our correctional system and will continue to do so. However, my support is conditioned upon the expectation that our employees and their representatives will recognize the enormity of our situation and join in the solution to our problems. Today, the private sector is showing renewed signs of life. For example, the Commonwealth's revenues for the month of April exceeded our expectations. Some see this as a cause for unbridled optimism. Some have even suggested that my budget is an overreaction to what was a bad economy. I do not agree. While I agree that the private sector is showing renewed signs of life, I will not use this small progress as an excuse to jeopardize the long-term future of our Commonwealth and its citizens. 1 month does not cure a $4.2 billion deficit, nor does it eliminate the structural problems that exist within our budgetary system. I am committed to a budget that seeks long-term stability through responsible spending and fiscal restraint. This requires years of discipline, not months, and we do not expect a return to consistent fiscal stability until 2014. In closing, while I respect and admire the men and women who serve our correction system, we simply cannot afford to increase their wages and benefits. Further, we cannot expect the taxpayers to support such things when they themselves have experienced layoffs, reduced hours, pay cuts, increased health care costs, and the general feeling of financial instability, while our employers have been insulated through every phase of the recession. While we all hope for a strong economy, we cannot lose sight of what needs to be done today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. Now is the time for acting responsibly. I thank you for allowing me to speak to you in absentia. Sincerely, Tom Corbett, Governor.
And that concludes the Commonwealth's presentation.
That concludes the Commonwealth's presentation.
Okay, I just wanted to say, it's been 9 days of hearing, a lot of testimony, a lot of witnesses. I know it's a lot of emotional and very real issues for the folks in this room. And I want to thank my fellow arbitrators. I want to thank the advocates. I especially want to thank the corrections officers, the Commonwealth employees who've been here most, if not all, of the 9 days with a very, very professional way. They conducted themselves in this hearing. The very civil exchanges we had on very important issues. I mean, it seems like a long process, but it matters a lot to us up here who ultimately have to make these decisions. And although Fred, Sean, and I have a good bit of work ahead of us, I'm confident that will proceed in the civil and professional way that it has, and we're going to work out the most reasonable deal possible for all the parties involved. And we'll go at this in a timely manner. You're not going to be waiting forever to get an award. We're going to go at it hard right after Memorial Day, and we will produce an award as quickly and as we can. And hopefully you appreciate the efforts of your advocates here, because I think they did a very good job. So thank you all, and take care.
Nice and long.
Yep.
This is the first interest arbitration I have participated in on behalf of the Commonwealth. I think, Sean, you have done some others on the police side of the house, if I recall. All I want to say is, irrespective of point of view, I thought that the presentation of the witnesses, whether they be union witnesses or Commonwealth witnesses, was exceptional. And as somebody who has to process information, and I don't have all of the background that you all have, but as someone who has to process the information and hopefully participate constructively in reaching a decision, I just want to say I appreciate the professionalism and the clarity that all of the witnesses brought here, so I thank you.
I'm just going to say thank you.
All right. So now.